We are live. This is live.
All right, so it's 7 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Welcome, everybody. And we do have a quorum, so we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and approve the agenda, the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, we have staff and student spotlight.
We have Miss Pitt's kids here, or her students. I don't know how many of them. Unfortunately, Miss Pitts had a family crisis this afternoon, so she's not going to be here, kids. If you didn't know, she didn't get time to tell you, but you're the highlight anyway. So show us what you got. We'll start in the front and work our way around. Tell us who you are and what you've got.
My name is Ariella Carey, and I built a ukulele in High Cap.
Can you play it?
Yeah.
What?
I can play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
That works.
Just pull it. I'm gonna take a picture of my ears. There you go. You can put your hand like you're pretend to be straight. There you go. Thank you.
Good job, thank you.
Okay. Come on.
Mine's a message.
It's in our room. Do you need us to go down there and get it? Mr. McConnell, thank you. All right. And who's next? Is yours down there too?
I think there's a birthday. Yeah.
Okay, well, everybody follow Mr. McConnell that needs to go down there.
No, we have Dad bring his in
This is a pyramid of Egypt. My name's Maddox, and I'm in High Cap also.
What was your name again?
Maddox.
Maddox.
Very nice.
Nice. How did you come up with that idea, Maddox?
It took me 7 weeks in all, but I only had 1 day to do it each week. So in all, it was 8.5 hours.
So does that mean that you know how the pyramids were made?
Well, how did you make that pyramid?
So first, maybe you do the structure, and then you pull this off, and there's an inside.
Oh,
And I made
impressive.
this to.
Oh, there's Legos? There's Legos.
Yeah, there's Legos.
Oh, very cool.
thank you.
Good job.
Yes.
I can't see all the little ones.
So I actually have 3 things. I did, and I have 3 things. I have this little candle I made in High Cap. It's not very big, but I have this little felt succulent garden I made in High Cap.
What are you making it out of?
Felt.
Oh, felt. I missed that. You said that, but my ears didn't hear it.
And then I have from geography, not from High Cap. It's a tundra biome project. I have cotton grass and Arctic forget-me-nots with the Arctic hare, Isabella tiger moth, snowy owl, and Arctic fox, with the mountains in the background and clouds. The apex predator is the Arctic fox.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you. Thank you.
You made it back. All right, you ready?
I made a love sign, and my name is Grayson Morgan, and it glows up.
Oh, nice. Oh, cool. Nice. Did we miss anybody? Anybody else? No? Okay. Well, thank you guys for coming and showing us those things. But I don't know when Miss Tricia will be ready for you to leave, but I would like to ask you your favorite thing about High Cap. What is it you like about High Cap?
My favorite thing about High Cap is we get to like be creative and build stuff.
Okay. Anything? No? No, sure?
I agree with Arlo.
Okay.
That kind of creative freedom in the room where you can really just make anything and no one's gonna be like, why are you making that?
So the opportunity to do that. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you. All right. And next we have public comments. Any members of the audience who wish to comment?
Yeah, you guys can go. Any
Yes.
of you guys can go. Thank you guys.
Sheila, I want to hear about the kitchen. I want to hear that it's done. It's good to go. Everything's ready, set.
So there has been an open house. It will be Wednesday
Wednesday,
from 5 to 7. Is that correct?
3:30
Oh,
to 5.
3:30 to 5. And so the kitchen is ready and it will be operational after the kids get back from winter break.
Wonderful. I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah.
I had a sneak peek in there Friday night during the bingo.
Yep.
And I did notice there weren't any counters.
I know we're still waiting on the serving line.
There's a serving line that's en route, but that's not going to stop them from serving food. They're still going to serve in a different way while they're waiting on the serving line, if that's what you're talking about, counter.
Well, counters where you would pull something out of the refrigeration unit and be able to place it somewhere so you could grab more things. There was no counters there. But I'm happy to come look Wednesday and
Yeah, guys, gonna say,
No,
come
okay.
Wednesday and ask Kim about that. She's ordered shelves and
'cause it's
anything
hard
you
to
can
work
think
in
of.
kitchen.
I do not know, unfortunately, I don't know what her plan is on counters, other than she does have counter space. I don't really know. That's a good Kim question, and she's not here, I don't think, tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, but it is
But
operational
as
and
far as you're
open.
concerned, it's completed.
Yes, we still have the serving line, which is where the hot food goes, so they can serve it on the trays easier than the way that it has been for a while on little hot plates. That piece is still being shipped. Other than that, there are no other orders outstanding that I can think of or I'm aware of. She's ordered everything, and as far as I know, it's all here and in. To my knowledge, I could be wrong, but it's my understanding we're all good to go.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else wish to comment?
There's also people that would like to talk about the levy. I think if nothing else, an update from the meeting at 5.
Okay.
Maybe a little quick update.
Quick update from the meeting at 5 is there's another meeting on the 7th at 7 in this room. And if you weren't here today, please come back on that day and help that levy committee get their work underway. That's about it. We did not yet decide on a chairperson, but Lori Rashoff is going to temporarily take that until at the next meeting they decide who their chairperson will be. Anything, you were there? Anything else that, there were more said than that, but I mean, that's,
We were waiting on material from the board.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll discuss that.
All right. Consent agenda.
Motion for the consent.
Okay. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
You did that
Motion to
already?
approve the consent agenda.
Oh, she did.
Yeah. We did.
Okay. Mr. McCollum, you want the
Reports.
You just open up VCAT. Actually, I'll pull it up and
Mitch and Ben.
What's that?
Mitch and, was it Mitch and Elizabeth? Who did the consent agenda?
Oh,
Yes.
I motioned, he
In
seconded.
a second.
Okay. So first off, handout as we're all loaded up. I'm going to pass out to the board. This is just a follow-up. This is information on the front and back around the test scores from 23-24 for ELA math and science in elementary school. It's broken down in the red is the Moss Rock Elementary School, and it'll also be in the slide here in a sec. But, this is something that's already been presented to the board. So you guys have seen this before. What I wanted to do is put this in front of you so that when I talk a little bit about it and explain the levels 1, 2, 3, and 4 and why it's the way it is this way and how it aligns with what students are having and get score-wise and how we work on preparing them. It's in front of you. So here we go. So that's what is on this sheet here. Level 1 does not meet. Level 2 is almost meeting. Level 3 is meeting or starting to exceed. And then obviously level 4 is exceeding expectations. So as you can see with this, in the red is Moss Rock Elementary School, and then the state average at that. And it is for math, ELA, and science. One of the things we're doing for the plan of improvement, we're continuing to analyze data. So one of the things we've done this year so far is we plan to continue to look at the data. We have looked at some SBAC scores, compared them with the iReady scores from this year to also to last year, keeping that data in driving our goal setting. So our PLC time at the beginning of the year in October, we spent time working on creating goals that also align with like student growth goals, but grade level goals as well. In our time in, I believe it's February is when we'll meet next for our monthly meeting, our PLC time. We'll continue to look at what kind of progress have we made? Where are we at? What progress do we want to see? What does the data tell us? And are we on track for that? This is a push that we're doing to have, instead of a more broad school improvement plan based goal or goals, that would be more grade level specific goals. With that, we have also implemented a new ELA curriculum. So currently this year we're using Core Knowledge Language Arts, or CKLA. We're trialing that for 1 year, seeing how we like it. We've had some mixed feedback on that, but we are working on something new on how to best fill our teachers, provide our teachers with the support for teaching those standards. So with that, we are trying with ELA specific CKLA for math. We'll talk about it later. Our math curriculum is stayed consistent with iReady. We are also working with our MTSS model for Tier 2 support for reading interventions for kindergarten through 6th grade. We continue to work there. Mrs. Chandler in the reading room with Linda Moore and Joy Hamill are the ones that are working every day providing reading interventions at a tiered level. We're also planning to, we will be doing a walk to read or tiered instruction. Currently, we have a more tiered instruction level for 3rd grade and 1st grade, as we have 3 teachers at that grade level. So we have more adults to tier those levels for students in the classroom, providing a little bit more specific intervention and instruction model. We also have, and here's my other follow-up for the ELA. This is a example of Miss Shannon Cuddy's speed dating. I just am infatuated with this activity. So what this is a example of an activity that she did in class, and this is something that I wanted to use as an example of one of the things where we have the SBAC focused instruction, where we're taking a look at what the rubric is for writing, what their SBAC is doing, and how we can prepare students to be familiar with what is coming at them, right? So by the end of the year, having them a little bit more familiar with what's expected of them. Okay, what is the rubric, right? When I've been in college, having a chance to be able to take a look at the rubric has helped me drive me through success in my assignments and my work as well. And continually down into elementary school for SBAC testing. This was done, so part of this activity, and Ms. Cuddy could probably explain a little bit better, is she broke down the rubric, both the student rubric and the teacher rubric, into learner familiar language. So this is it says kid-friendly rubrics. So the kids
narrow the focus down and need to work on. So that's the reading part of it. Then we have the writing part of it and the 3 different types of writing. And again, you can see write, revise, brief, text, and argumentative and explanatory. Wasn't explained to start with, but we grew and we got there where we needed to be in 10th grade. And then in the narrative writing, it was a strength across the board in that area. So our plan for improvement, before school started, we had those professional development days. We analyzed data and identified areas to work on. Each content area collaborated and made a plan of how they would address the needs. We really focus on every teacher is a teacher of reading and writing, no matter what content they teach. We also implemented new ELA curriculum this year in 7th through 10th grade. We are offering college in the high school for 11th and 12th grade, so the other end of the spectrum, getting to push those kids that need that and want that. Once again, we're going to go through the accreditation process, which is going to provide us with feedback on instruction. And I asked Tiffany Woods and Lynn Almost to come. They both teach ELA, and they work really hard at it, and I wanted them to share just some details with you guys of exactly what they're doing in their classrooms.
Right now, we are focused on a novel study book that they can actually read through each chapter by chapter. They take chapter summary notes, finding the key details and information and lining them out in their notes. And that notes helps them to formulate their essays at the end of each little section that we have. So by the end of the book unit, they'll have written 3 different types of essays: a persuasive, argumentative, narrative, and explanatory. And then they have some comprehension questions as well that they need to restate, answer, and support their answer in, as well as making sure that they're actually writing them out appropriately. A lot of what we do, we start out with handwriting before we actually type up our final copy. So when we do our essays, the rough drafts are handwritten, they peer edit together, and then they type them up.
All right, so I got a little caught up in that because it's actually really interesting to hear both Mrs. Cuddy and Ms. Woods talking about peer editing and the kids working. They do that in my levels too. I teach 11th and 12th grade. So I get them after the test is kind of not relevant anymore. They've either passed it or they haven't. And they already know that, and I think Mrs. Cornier is going to talk about pathways a little bit more, I think. They already know that there's multiple ways to graduate. And the test has very little bearing on them, and some of them don't care. As a matter of fact, some of them more than don't care. And even when we give them the IXL test, it's kind of hard to get the buy-in that we would like. And since I don't get individual data on each student from the Smarter Balance test, but I do from my Excel, I can at least look at that a little more deeply to see what we should be doing. But the good news is that the seniors are doing fantastically. They do a lot of research. They have to identify bias. They have to use MLA citations. And these are all things that are also important for what they have to do. And they are addressing some of the things that you see there, like with informational text and literary text and key details and central ideas, and all of that is all part of what they do. But more than that, they're showing the skills of near adults ready to go into the workforce. And I would love for you guys to come in and see some of the things in person that they're doing. As for the juniors are a much different group. And really, they have a skill deficit in a lot of areas, particularly in mechanics. And that's why this peer editing is really important. They're working on, like every week, they're working on some informational text and some literary text. They're comparing and analyzing. Basically, they're kind of in a reading, writing boot camp right now because we need to really get them to just do it more. They may not be doing it beautifully, but they're doing it more to get the practice down. And then they're coming back and having to look at their work and revise it. They get tons of feedback because at this point, everybody's making different mistakes. And so I can't just give them isolated, everybody does the same grammar lesson. Instead, they do the work and I give them individualized feedback. And so like what I want to say is we may not be doing well on the SBAC, but we're doing pretty well on the end product. And it's a really fun thing to see if you get the chance to come in and visit with us.
Thank you. Is the testing on the 10th graders here is at the 11th grade now? Right.
Yes. And you see they actually scored a little better than their 12th grade friends.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
I can't explain it.
All right.
I've got one question about the citation of the MLA versus the APA.
So the IXL covers MLA, so it's kind of nice that that's also what I do because it helps them a little bit too. And for kids going to college, they need to, what they're first taught, and as soon as we bring out citations, is listen to the instructor. There's so many different kinds. And even within MLA, there's variations and preferences depending on who's teaching it. So they're taught immediately, like there's no one exact way, but the one that is easy to use with Google and all that is MLA. But I always make sure that they know that, especially if they're doing the sciences, APA is probably what they're going to see.
Right, and so one follow-up question. Having gone to graduate school myself, we specifically used APA format, even in high school. And so how do you feel about your kids that are going on to higher education having to understand that APA is going to be the predominant citations framework that they're going to have to use? Do you think they're going to be able to easily transition over from MLA to APA?
Yes, I mean, I did. So liberal arts generally uses MLA and the sciences use APA. And the difference is, honestly, from a teacher standpoint, the APA is harder to correct. It's harder to go in and make sure they're doing it exactly right. And so MLA is a little easier for them to be able to judge each other and see what they're doing wrong. Kind of peer editing the MLA is a lot easier. So that's why we use it. But the kids who are going to go on to college are the ones who are going to get the message that when you go to select which style that Google is putting your citation in,
Right.
they're going to see APA come up every time they do that. So they're going to know that those are choices they can make. Plus, hopefully they listen to me every now and then.
Thank you.
We also, for kids who have gone on and come back, we've talked to them about what they've learned and was it useful for them in college. And we've got some really positive feedback on our 2 required senior classes and how well prepared they felt when they went on to whether it's a 2-year college or a 4-year college, either one. And Lynn has the luxury of getting to work with colleges a little bit, so that helps us too, because she really knows what the colleges are looking for. And we used to just have it for 12th grade, but now having it 11th and 12th grade is really nice.
Yeah, do they know that the kids that go through all of those, they get out of here with 15 credits through Eastern Washington, and that also is part of the pathway.
So, educate me because I'm fairly new. There's a lot of software that's available for citations, for examining citations, both APA and MLA. Are your kids prohibited from using software to finalize, check their work? Or
Google Docs will do it for them, but it will make mistakes, and
Right.
so they still need to know the general idea of it.
Well, I think one of the hardest things going from Google Docs to Microsoft when you're in college and it doesn't automatically do that. And it screws the whole format up altogether. You have to start over. So you have to.
Oh my gosh,
Google Docs is in high school. That's not what.
I've seen it messed up as bad as you can mess it up. But yeah, so there's online methods too that you can do it, but they're never perfect.
I can recommend a software. It's called Aperla, and it creates software for both APA and MLA, and we use it at the doctoral level, and it's really accurate. So that might be something if anybody's interested in moving forward with that. Aperla is an amazing software. So. Aperla, APERLA.
All right, we're going to move on to math. Sort of the same story that I already shared with ELA. With a little more details in the packet I gave you about the data. Again, the scores are not near where we would like them to be. It's really deflating as hard as the teachers are working to not see the results that they know they could get if the kids tried a little bit harder. definitely motivation. Math is not a favorite subject of most kids. They're not motivated. The test doesn't mean anything. But we've also had huge turnover in our math department, which hasn't helped either at all levels for a variety of different reasons. So those are just some barriers that are getting in the way, I think, of our kids testing better. So again, target areas weren't released in 22-23, but in 23-24 they were. So I listed it because they come out a little different in math than they do in ELA, but I listed it by grade level, the strengths that each grade level saw in the math area. And they're really different. They don't flow quite like they do in the ELA, but if you think about the different types of math, they don't all flow real well either. So our plan for improvement for math, again, analyzing the data and identifying areas to work on was also part of our PD before school started, PLC collaboration. The 3 math teachers have actually worked together quite a bit outside of the school day, just on their own, really trying to build up our math program. We did a little work this year with the ESD 113 Math TOSA, who came out, looked at our scores with us, went into the classroom, did a little observing, and then came back and talked with the teachers. We've added the IXL practice. Something new we added this year is a high school intervention class in math. We haven't had that at the high school level. It's hard to put intervention classes in at the high school because you can't have one every period, so sometimes they need the class, but they also need the content that's being taught at that time. We're continuing with the 2 junior high math lab classes that we've had. And then again, accreditation will give us some feedback on instruction. And Tiffany gets to teach both ELA and math, so she's going to share a little bit about math, and then Jenny.
All right, we've been focused heavily on fractions for the first part of the year, making sure that they understand addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, especially since at our level we add in our negative integers and negative operations. And so a lot of times we have to spiral back and teach some of the different rules and things that go along with the difference between adding and subtracting fractions and multiplying and dividing fractions. So sometimes it takes a little bit longer, especially when they're just coming right back from summer and their brains are still trying to remember all the different concepts that they learned from the year previous. We also have been working really hard on order of operations with variables, which also, again, still brings in more fractions, more of those negative integers and all those different steps. So we keep spiraling in all these different concepts and we're still working through them. So we continue to want to make sure that we have those prerequisites for them and then keep teaching forward. We also include a lot of different real world problems to make sure that they understand how it's relevant to what they're doing and what they're going to do in the future. And I also give them a lot of different correction days for times to go back and let's look at these problems that you didn't get right. Let's make sure we can see what corrections you can make to help learn what you did wrong and how you can make the problem better, because that helps them to understand what they did wrong and what they won't do in the future so they can get the problem correct. So we do that a lot. We just had one of those today because we have a quiz tomorrow. So it's a good way to go through, practice, and make sure they have that concept before we test the next day. So that's just some of the things that we've been doing. A lot of the geometry type stuff, the area, surface area, things like that will happen towards second semester.
So at the high school level, we've been working on a lot of the same things, taking those concepts from junior high and then applying them again for like solving for different variables, solving different systems of equations. So what if we have more than one variable that we need to solve for, things like that. Again, with the word problems, I don't think I've ever seen kids hate math more than when you give them a word problem. So a lot of the struggle and stuff that I've been having with the students is they don't understand the basics of math at a level deep enough to apply it to something new. So every time I approach them with like a new topic, like, okay, we learned how to solve for variables, now we're going to solve for 2. I basically have to go back and reteach them how to solve for 1 variable because they don't remember how to do it. The confidence in math and the ability to take what they know or what I believe they know and they've shown me that they know and apply it to another situation is crazy low. So like really they want their hand held through every single step. And if I don't walk them through it, they're not going to do it on their own. They have a hard time with that. One thing I've been really working on with them though is being less helpful, if I'm being honest with you. Like especially the kids who are higher, and I know that they're higher and I know that they know how to do it. They come and ask for help. I'm like, well, what do you think? What do you think the first step is? So really trying to get them to understand that they know more than they think they do is the biggest challenge right now for me.
So I put in graduation data, just to kind of get towards the pathway conversation that I want to have. Graduation data comes out in 4-year, 5-year, 6-year, and 7-year cohorts now. The data that you see up there is the 4-year cohort. So 5 years, so if we had a kid who came back and then graduated, they should have graduated in 2023, but it took until 2024, then they redo the graduation data, and it's their 5-year graduation data. We've really taken pride in being over 90% in our graduation rates. 2021, we dipped. That was our first year after COVID that we returned, but honestly didn't think that was horrible. What resulted in that was some of the kids that didn't return after COVID. 2022, nothing we can do about it. There was an issue at the district level where all of the academy data got deleted. And so it looked like nobody in the academy passed the SBAC, graduated, sorry. And so when I caught that and talked to them, they said that the state said it was too late to change it. So that was too bad, but we moved on, and the last 2 years we've had back to where we want to be. And I wanted to share that I think sometimes people don't understand what it means when we don't get a 100% graduation rate, because if a student leaves us, withdraws, even in their freshman year, and they never enroll anywhere else, they count against us as a dropout. So we do a lot of work trying to find kids. Where did they go? The truancy process, if they're gone from school for 20 days and they get dropped, they count against us if they don't show up anywhere. We've got 5 kids right now that we've done home visits on. We've sent law enforcement out for well checks that just haven't been at school. We see them around, but they don't come to school. And then something that I didn't see early on, but I'm starting to see in the last couple of years, is this whole thing when I turn 18, I can do what I want and I'm done. And that's sad. And we're really struggling with that right now. The kids that are leaving home and wanting to get a job but aren't graduating to do so. Go ahead. And then the pathways for graduation. So there's a number of ways that you can meet your pathway to graduate. It used to be you had to pass the SBAC to graduate. So there was a lot of motivation there because they had
Skills suddenly got better, though they might have gotten a little better. It's because they took it more seriously.
So CTE pathways kind of the last one that we go to for kids. But we can't wait till their senior year because like right now we're working on the juniors to see what pathways they have, what pathways they need to meet. If we think they may fall into that CTE pathway, we got to make sure they've had enough credits in those classes, or we get them into the classes of their senior year so that they don't fall through the cracks.
And the state changed the SBAC.
So I have a quick question for you. One of your CTE pathways is event planning and planning, caterer, hospitality industries, restaurant management, marketing. Is part of that pathway, are these kids getting opportunities in the community to do internships and events that are planned in the local communities, or how do they just go through an academic phase? Is there any hands-on with that, or?
They do just go through an academic phase, but we are bringing back the job shadow piece of their senior project, which will tie in.
Oh.
We did that for a long time, and then when COVID came along, it was really hard to get back into places to job shadow. But I think that's really important.
So this
for
year
kids
seniors
to-
have to job shadow?
Oh, and all of those are CTE classes, so all of those classes are hands-on in some way, depending on what classes it lists that they do. So what classes are listed under that one, just for instance?
The event planning,
Mhm.
Family consumer science A, science B, yearbook A, yearbook B. And so the reason I ask is because I know there's a number of large events coming up in the spring, early, late spring, that are gonna need help. And so, for example, there's what's called the Lincoln Day dinner, it's Republican Party's dinner. They have like 300-400 people there. And so, I mean, I'm not sure if how those kinds of events would provide opportunities for hands-on or job shadowing. But there are events coming up that those kids that are interested in those career pathways can participate in. So,
Well, they, and like, so like when the FCCLA or Family Science, they do a lot of the assistance at the events, like, they do the events assembly.
Yeah.
There too, so they're doing that, but that's who you would talk to, is like talk to their advisor for FCCLA.
We have a large amount of kids that are participating in our CTE state competitions, where they get to experience a lot of that stuff.
okay, thank you.
For a small school, I think we have quite a bit to offer. Our teachers are stretched pretty thin because most of them teach any number of classes of different content areas. So there's a lot of prep work that has to go into that. But they definitely put the kids first and will do what they need to do to make sure it happens. And I'm fortunate to have great teachers that do that.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
You ready to move? Okay. Do either of you want to go over your normal report here? What's in there? You guys have any questions about the normal? Do you see it?
Any
We're good?
requests?
Anything? Okay.
I'd like to go into mine actually, just specifically for like a board highlight, just to be recognized.
Yeah, that'd be good to read out loud.
Hmm?
I think that would be a good one to read out loud.
I would love to go in there too. Having some trouble. Stand by while I fix these technology issues.
Hire that guy yet?
I need to hire about 15 guys in this one. Okay, you want this one? This one, Kyle?
Yes, please.
Seriously. I quite know my guys, but they're lit.
So the December elementary board report, it goes into some detail around some of the wonderful things that have been opportunities like the Rotary Club, among many others, where we've had a wonderful opportunity to be given monies to help families in need. We've also had some training where we had Aptigee Rooms, which is going to take over as our new communication tool for the district.
Oh yeah, I had a question on that. What is that? What is that?
It's like Class Dojo or like Remind, but it's just another tool.
The whole school's going to that?
It's going to be an addition to, is how we're discussing it.
It's tied into the website, same group. So the
In
expansion.
addition to what a teacher currently uses, or we're going to that?
So my understanding is that we're going to be using that as the primary, though it's not going to be the only one. Like you can use this and only this, but it would, like take the place of a teacher who's using Class Dojo. We are asking that we would be following up with this in that way, because it would be doing essentially the same thing. Because this way it also then ties into the other tools that we're using in the district, like the app and things like that.
It says the district plans to roll it out by January 6th. Is there communication going home to families on that before then? Or is that just getting rolled out and you don't know to download it? I'm assuming you download it. I don't know if it's in an app or I don't know what it is, but
It's
I saw
already-
that.
It's already, as I understand from trying to be, it's already, if they have the app, it will just
But
appear.
what's the app?
The app where you go to the calendar and
Oh, the
my
Viking.
dining, it's right on that same app. They hit that and they can communicate from the app.
Oh.
And they've had more training on it than me. They should probably speak better,
Well,
more
I had
clearly.
somebody tell me that. Well, yeah, the communication that we're going to, and I said no, and then I read that and thought, I wonder if it's that.
So then would
Am I
parents have to
explaining it
download
clearly?
an additional app?
Not an additional.
It's the same Viking app.
Same.
The same,
Viking
okay.
app.
Yeah, parents would use that.
So do you know if communication is going out on that, or?
Yes, the plan, I think Apogee is helping work with the district on that one, is my understanding. That is something that we're also still trying to help clear up for staff as well, because there's been some communication around that and making sure we're just clearly communicating. So by the end of this week, I know we were talking about shoring that. I know we're also doing, it's why I'm dressed in white. In case anybody was wondering, I wasn't just doing some painting or anything like that. I happen to be wearing all white because it is our Winter Wonderland Day. We're wearing all white for the 12 Days of Christmas dress up. The high school is sent out, the elementary participates. It's a wonderful time. One of the things that I would show up, but there's been many things, but goes right into the board highlight here that I'd like to discuss, because one of the things that Ms. Shannon Cuddy's doing is putting on the 12 Days of Christmas PowerPoint, the slideshow. So the Student Leadership Council is going through and taking pictures of the different dress-up days. And so then Ms. Cuddy is setting that out to staff, compiling all of that and the leadership team. But because of her continued excellence in the classroom and the dedication to her students, I wanted to call the spotlight onto Shannon Cuddy tonight. I've already showed you, definitely. I've already showed you, directors and Dr. Chandler, the activity that she's doing in the classroom. I'm continually surprised and impressed by the work she's doing. She stepped up above what is expected of her, not only in duty-wise, but just in overall awesomeness as a human being. She recently put together an activity for students to practice the narrative writing. So that's what we talked about here just now. So it was an activity that I was really impressed at. Not only was it a great activity in itself, but it was connected to something moving forward. And that type of thing is something I wanted to acknowledge and celebrate. So thanks, Cuddy.
Did you have any internal things there, Ms. Cormier?
No, I just want to say that we have been very fortunate. We have had probably about $90,000 in donations that have come to our students in the last couple of months. Whether it was the music department that Hampton gave us a really nice donation for that. We had our first music concert last week. Did a great job with that. The Rotary Club, the last time they choose different schools. The last time was 10 years ago that Mossy Rock was on the list. So we came back up this year, and we were expecting 20,000 and we got 30,000. So we were able to help 53 families with that money. They were given some pretty hefty chunks of things to enjoy the holidays with their family. And then we just have all kinds of, I don't have no dollar amounts on them, but all kinds of other groups that just show up and want to adopt families or help our kids. Hampton also, I think it was 10 this year, wasn't it? Every year goes up, so I can never, they select 10, this is K-12, not 10 families, buy gifts, food, all kinds of things, and deliver it. Other groups might just adopt a family or two. It just depends on their organization, but it was pretty cool this year, I guess, to get what we got for our families.
Yeah.
Do all of your ninth graders go to that life management conference at Centralia?
They do. Yeah. We tell them that's their class for the day.
Yeah, good. I just remember hearing good things about the kids that have went in the past.
And we've had to do that for a long time.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, thank you guys so much. And thank you. Welcome to stay for others if you like. You guys are good.
We don't want to step on your
You don't
toes.
step on my toes going over this other stuff? Come on.
And thank you.
Have a good
Thank you,
night.
guys.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thanks for coming.
All right, so here's my report enrollment. It's actually a positive 23 from this time last year, which can largely be explained by the TTK by and large, but there are some specific adjustments up and down the dial. Questions on enrollment? Still working on those policies that we talked about previously and have been not wrapped up yet. So I'll bring them back to the agenda as soon as I can get them finished. I think I gave you guys an update on the greenhouse the other day, and that hasn't really changed. There have been 4 contractors contacted, 2 of which was with bids, 2 others Have not yet submitted bids. All 4 have been here and seen the project, but reached out today to see if we could stir one up, but they did not return a call as of the time of the meeting. Levy committee had that initial meeting today, which you heard about a few minutes ago. Went well. I think you heard all the details for now from that. We need to follow up. We provided them with how many years and what our rate would make that decision here. Board. And
Maybe they needed something from us. When are we doing that?
say again.
If they needed stuff from us.
That was their request this afternoon. They would like some feedback in terms of how long we want to go, as how long you want to go as a board, and what rate, and what that
So
kind of
we
thing.
need to decide that before their next meeting on the 7th. Whenever we
It would
find
be
out.
helpful to decide that, but I mean,
But how would we do that between now and then?
well, we've talked about it a couple of times. We could collaborate on that and have a workshop if we need to, but the 7th is coming up pretty fast. And I mean, if y'all have it, we'll get it when we can. I mean,
Well, if they can't move forward without it, then I would think it would be pertinent that we get it before then.
So we have some basic projections. I mean, as far as what
We do.
need, what kind of a levy is going to look like to meet those, plus maybe a little bit of wiggle room there.
yeah, some basic stuff. Mm-hmm. Don't have that with me tonight. I'm not prepared for that night, but we do have some things. Yeah.
Okay.
And the kitchen is open for use. Also, as you've heard, she's having an open house on Wednesday from 3:30 to 5. And then the gym floor, just in the way of the heads up, is due to be refurbished. It's very expensive. We have, I think, 7 companies that have been solicited, but
Is
But
that
only
something that's
2
on
bids.
every so many years that we
Yeah.
do?
yeah,
Does it not fall into is it normally, where's it listed on our stuff?
I would have to go look. I just know it is a cycle. It's not an every year kind of thing.
Well, no, I know it's not every year, but I was just curious, it doesn't fall ever on our capital stuff, right? Jody?
I've never.
And I haven't been
What-
here before when you did it, so I don't know. I'll have to do some homework to answer, but I will.
Roughly, what's the cost of the floor? 40?
40,000.
We have only 2 bids right now. They're very widespread. One's 40, and that is a company that you have evidently done business with in the past. The next bid that we have right now is 78 or 72. Very, very far apart.
When is that supposed to happen?
This summer
Summer.
is
This
what
summer?
Doug told the coaches.
It's when it's projected to be done.
I know, but
mean,
whose radar is that on? What made him go what?
like, where is the cycle?
Yes.
I'm
Where,
I'm
you know
going to
how
find
it's
out.
on our
Where does it fall?
capital stuff, or is, there's
It's
stuff
not on
listed
the.
out.
It's
I
not
mean,
on
I know
the.
it's not a capital thing because it's
I
not
mean-
something, it's something we have to keep doing, but
I think I added to the capital projects to bring you guys to look at, which is, and I think that's another thing on my report here, or was on my report, but we do need to talk about updating the capital project list and priority, because I think it was done like 3 or 4 years ago. I may have put floors on that, but it wasn't on there
No.
previous.
I just wondered where he came up with that, or how he knew to do that, or did somebody tell him, or does he have something that he's looking at that I
Good
mean,
question. I will
curious.
find out the answer. Do you recall were you around the last time it was done? Do you
I
know
don't-
how long it's been?
I don't know if Denise would remember. I don't think it has been since I
It
don't
was,
know.
it was maybe 6 years, maybe?
I was gonna say maybe 7 or 8, but I don't know. And I have another dumb question. Do we ever do the junior high floor, or is that just a no? It's just awful. so
On
we
this
leave it
particular
awful?
thing, I would think if you're going to, like, they haven't done it since I've been here as far as this kind of project. Now, I know they did some work on it, some maintenance of our own in-house, but not what we're talking about here, reconditioning the floor. That hadn't been done.
Sometimes reconditioning a bad floor isn't fun anyway. It's a waste of money.
Right.
So it needs to be done in junior high.
Yeah,
But I was just curious of the schedule.
Yeah,
And
I-
who keeps track of it.
I will look for that. I'm sure if there is one, I'll find it.
Or just curious how he knew to.
Where he came from that.
Yeah.
And someone, it seemed like he threw at me the they had been 10 years, but I mean, I don't know.
It might be, because I just don't remember us ever doing it since I've been on the board, but.
I'll check into it and see.
I'll look too.
Yeah.
I-
Thank
I
you,
should
buddy.
have got- I should have
Thank
something somewhere.
I'll find out.
Just because that's something significant to budget.
It's
if we're talking
significant,
about it
yeah.
now,
Mhm.
or, you know, it's a. Seems odd.
Okay, I'll check into it.
Not poor guy, I don't know.
I'm not for it either. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the patterns are on this, but I will. And I know John over at Morton, I know they had some damage and they
Well,
just
that was for
redid.
other
They
reasons.
just, I know it was for other reasons. I've spoken to him about it, I know. But they had just had the floor redone when they got the damage.
Yeah.
They had just finished it. He might know how they were working on that. I'll check with him on that too.
But they were redoing theirs because of the logo and stuff, not for, they were repeating.
It wasn't their cycle.
No, they were,
Oh.
they were redoing it because MJP's, they're,
Oh, because they're changed.
well, that's, what- yeah, they didn't. do
It might be productive to find out who did their work too, in case it's not one of the bids that you have.
Yeah.
Because there's such a wide divergence between the two.
Yeah. Anything else on those that you need me to follow up on?
What's the update on the, bids for the,
Security.
yeah, that? Thank you.
I did notice some expenditures for equipment, lines,
Are they
wires.
ever done with that, though, or how-
Yes,
or
that
clarification
stuff
on
that
the bid?
we have,
Right.
equipment.
So do we have everything we need? We just need our installations.
Yeah, we are waiting on one more. We have one more invoice that we have not paid, waiting on the equipment to drop down over there before we pay it.
So where are we at on our bid process for installation? We're still waiting for another bid or?
Well, we've gotten 3 or 4 bids.
But we were looking for the, so are we done on the clarification and decisions
No,
we made?
I don't have any more clarification than I did last time.
But we haven't voted on it.
You have not. But I did try to get some clarification. I thought I had found it on my own and then made a phone call. And when I made the phone call, my theory was shot down. Was not the reason. Trying not to say directly to one company what another company's done. I'm trying to be investigative, and they're not very discreet. They're very obvious to see what's there. And I thought I had found it, but I have not yet found it.
So we don't have enough decision or information yet to make a decision?
I don't have any more information for you than I did previously that would tilt your scales one way or the other at this time to figure out why there's a $20,000 difference between two local companies. I did have a theory, and I investigated that theory, and it was not the reason. So I don't have a reason yet. And did you guys want to look at these capital project stuff? What's on there? Or do you have a copy of it? You want to see it tonight? Nobody's done
Did you want to look
it.
at it?
Anybody want to see it?
I scrolled through it, but
You already saw it.
you don't have anything to say about it.
Yeah, it's just, we need to.
Did you guys form a new capital committee budget, committee?
No.
Were you going to?
Well, this is capital committee right here. That's in there. It's on there.
No,
What are you talking about?
like this planning committee for 2023, like that? Like, are you guys doing that for like, there would be a committee that would meet and then there would be a report at, like at the meeting saying like, this is what, and we would either approve it or.
I was just working off the old document, which had just board members, which is what this one. And
Well, like,
was
but
gonna bring it to
the
you for
board didn't
updating.
come up with
The board didn't come up with that.
no, not with the ideas, because
Okay.
like, we're not, like, you're,
Well, there were no other names on there when I pulled that document up from when it
like
what
on
was being done.
here, it's, from 2023. on the capital committee, it's the board chair, or which would, and then yourself, and then the building principals, maintenance, food, and Jody. But I don't know if those names were just changed, because Jody wasn't here in 23.
They
So I
were,
don't know.
they were probably edited and updated because that's who's here.
Well, yeah, but it wouldn't be shouldn't be
Well-
edited, because that's not who it was at the time.
Okay.
Because there's a committee that's formed, like if that's the committee, because the heads of all the departments that know what the needs are of the school, that put together a recommendation on what we want on the capital list. Sometimes it shifts because of safety or a concern that gets raised higher. Like, for example, the elementary gym acoustics have been on the list forever, but it always obviously falls down because things like the kitchen come up, or the batting cages that are safety concerns get moved up higher. But I'm just wondering if there's a group is going to meet and like just reassess what projects are on here, and are they still relevant, and do we need to, what needs to take priority over? Like if our
Well,
enrollment keeps climbing, I'm gonna assume that additional classrooms is gonna be a
factor. Okay.
priority over leveling the ball fields, for example.
That document used to be a living document back when Lisa was here.
Yeah.
I know we always reference that, but when Lisa was here, it was the department heads and the principals and her, maybe a board person. And we would meet on a regular basis, and we would go through the list, and we'd make a short-term plan and a long-term plan. It was like a revolving 5
Yeah, because we would adjust it if,
Yeah.
depending on,
budget, what's the money, what's the
Yeah.
highest burning fire. I mean, yes, a lot of moving parts. But it was a live acting document, and I
Yeah.
think, Mark, you said this one hasn't been changed.
There was
for-
no committee. No, yeah. I just picked it up and
So is
realized
there
we
no-
needed to
there's
work
no
on it.
committee,
So
that's the answer to the question.
when I wanted to bring it to you guys, because I'm like, we need to.
well, I would think
move
that
forward with this.
I would think you guys would need to form a committee and put a list in front of us of what. I know, it says, members of the capital planning committee 2023, and my comment is, that isn't accurate. Jody wasn't here, these names probably got changed. That's what it used to be. And so it was a living document, but that got changed, but that's not actually what is happening, and they're not
We
meeting.
might put that
So-
question to Denise.
Well, the answer
Well, it
is,
sounds like the answer is
isn't
here. We will form a committee based on that set of.
well, I think that would
staff.
make sense who you would want on it, because
Yeah.
it's your department heads and they know what's going on with the facilities, and then just put something in front of the board that shows, that we're looking at that's the same information we're gonna wanna use when we're petitioning the community for the levy. It's gonna be some of those big capital projects and things that whatever the funding is gonna be used for. So I think that meeting or committee would be,
It's also useful for budgeting.
yeah,
You know your gym board's coming, you plan for it.
yeah.
Okay.
What were all these from, Jody?
Those are, one of the tasks for the fiscal department is to balance to the treasurer every month. That has not been being done to the penny, obviously. And what these are,
To a $10,000 penny?
yes,
Oh,
you can see the years.
yeah, I can see.
When a check is voided in our system, you also have to tell the treasurer, because they're our actual bank. And so what this is a drop in communication between our system and the treasurer.
So when we approve those voids, and there's another step that has to be done
Yes,
on your side with the treasurer to make that balance.
right,
And this is just making us right as up to date.
right. So that's communication that didn't happen for whatever reason.
Sure.
So this is just catching us up. The treasurer won't void anything that's considered stale in their eyes out of a previous fiscal year without a resolution from the board.
Okay.
It's basically transparency that all these checks are voided and now the treasurer's going to void them.
Okay, and we're just cleaning it up.
It's cleanup.
Okay. Good job.
Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the cancellation of warrants.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
What kind of good stuff do we have?
And I don't think any of it's good.
Old TV if you want.
Yeah,
Oh,
it might be something that might be usable,
Does it
but
have a rounded screen?
I'd hate to use the word
I think
good.
it's close.
Actually, these two things right here are probably functional. But
Yeah, Manny never got the.
Huh?
The stainless steel tables.
Motion
Nobody ever told
to
me.
approve the declaration of surplus.
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Try to get that TV, Ben.
I don't want the TV. I want the
Well,
seats.
Vanessa wants it.
Yeah.
I want the seats.
I want to move to vote on this after the executive.
If we could, please.
We'd probably make that motion, do we?
Like, do I need to make a motion that we're gonna do it after executive session?
Yeah, or to move it.
Oh, okay, a motion to
because it's-
move the Northwest Leadership piece and the project work management system to vote on after executive session.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
And this is what I brought to y'all's attention the other night. Well, actually, Teresa did before I did.
So this is something that we had discussed at our Lewis County Legislative Rep group with the superintendents, that we feel that WASDA does not always advocate for if there's any unfunded or legislation which allows for unfunded mandates. And this relates to site, and I talked to them the other night about this, about signing in like pro and con for a piece of legislation. And there are some that WASDA says to sign in other, because WASDA says if they take a position, they would lose their seat at the table. So they didn't really want to take a stand either way. However, creating this coalition would allow this group of small school districts like us to be able to take a stand on.
As one or individual?
Yeah, unified voice to
A bigger voice?
do what
Yes.
WASDA is not doing for us. And it doesn't, based on the research that we've gotten back from that meeting, it doesn't cost us any money. We just have to have resolution and join together. Yeah, with those things.
So a motion to approve the resolution?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
That's cool.
Okay, so executive session. How long is it? 15 minutes? 30 minutes?
20 minutes, 30 minutes with plus bathroom break.
Okay, all right, so motion to adjourn to,
Motion to adjourn to 8:45?
okay, second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right,
There's just a couple of personnel things. I don't anticipate any change in that probably.
I don't think so.
Have a good evening.
Merry Christmas.
yep.
Thanks, buddy.